try this. There'll be a little bit more of a delay, but you should be able to actually hear it. Very weird. So we've been working on a project that is basically a redoing of the New York Times dialect quiz. So the basic idea is that there is a quiz that you take and you answer a bunch of questions about the ways that you say different things. And then you get answers about where in the US people talk most like you. Yeah, okay, that fixed the audio. Well, I thought I'd fix that problem and I did not. So extremely mysterious. I don't know what's up. Everything locally looks correct. I genuinely don't know. Okay. So, we're working on this quiz. We've got it to the point where it is actually being hosted on Rasa X. So we could have a conversation and we get asked a bunch of questions and we give answers to the questions and then we run a classifier. And in opening it up to testers, something that happened, which, I mean, happens, is that we got some really unacceptable, toxic answers, some anti-Semitic stuff, some racist stuff, just, again, completely unacceptable. And in thinking about strategies for our assistant to handle this, I think what makes the most sense, we talked about this last time as well, is to really end the conversation. So if someone says something that we detect is part of a category of toxic language, which is just trained on things people have said, where I'm like, oh, absolutely not. We'll just stop the conversation. And to do that, we need to create a custom action. So in a Rasa assistant, you have sort of two bits. You have the server, the Rasa server that runs the assistant that does the like understanding what people are saying in text and picking the next thing to say. And then any other code runs in a separate server, which is the Rasa action server. And so right now, our action server is already doing some stuff. So the thing that we're going to add here, actually it's behind my head. Let me pop that back out. There we go. So the thing that we're going to add here is we're going to add a function that will stop the assistant. And then we're going to change our stories here, which are sort of paths through the conversation that are possible for people to use. And we're going to add a toxic intent story. And now something has gone a little bit funky with regard. You may see something upsetting here, but I think you won't, because I think I have, yeah, I think I have something off about the connection between my Rasa X assistant and my GitHub repo. I guess we can start by diagnosing that and then build the action, because if we don't have any instances of toxic language, then it's not going to be very helpful. So I am right now just looking. Let me pop up my Rasa X server. So you may see some very objectionable language popping up here, just so you know. So what I'm looking for is if we have training data for one of the intents. Yeah, okay, so we definitely have added some more intents, and one of them is the toxic intent. And I didn't put a warning on this video, so I don't necessarily want to show it because it is, is bad. It's not good. And I don't want to surprise people with that. That's so I'm just searching down at the and seeing if we got that intent labeled. So we have a lot of intents. We have the chit chat intent, we have the infirm intent, we have deny. So infirm is like yes, deny is like no. We have lots of thank you intents. Oh, maybe we don't actually have the additional. Maybe we don't actually have the NLU training data that I thought we did. So I'm just gonna quickly check the domain as well. Okay, and yeah, there's no toxic language intent. Okay, so I think actually I think what happened is that we got disconnected from our GitHub repo, and as a result, when I reconnected it, we got the most recent version of the GitHub repo, and I hadn't actually pushed those changes. Which I'm actually fine with because I haven't yet decided how I want to handle having NLU training data that is, again, very abusive in my assistant. Like, I don't, like, it's language that I would never use, that I don't condone using, and that I want to make it very clear that it is only being used here in its capacity as a way to identify when other people are using it. And I am still thinking about what a good way to do that is, and to be very clear about why this particular language is in the assistant, and also that I didn't come up with it, you know? Yeah, so we'll leave that for now and just work on the action to stop the assistant. And this could be, I think this will be sort of generally useful for folks as well, because it can be modified to stop the automated portion of the assistant and then hand it off to a human, which is a pretty common request. And I'm not going to hand this off to a human because that would be me, and I've got other stuff to do. But if you had some sort of like support line or help desk, that might be a good thing to do. Okay, so what do we have in our actions already? A number of things. Alan says, super valid point. I have some very toxic language in the training data for CarbonBot, and it sits in the repo. It's good to know. So if any of you, wow, scope, if any of you have not used CarbonBot, it's a assistant that you'll say, hey, I flew from like New York to Amsterdam, how much carbon did that produce, and how can I buy carbon offsets for that? And that particular assistant has received a lot of toxic language. So one approach there. But the stopping, that's what we were doing. We were stopping our assistant. So let's pull up the Rasa SDK docs. We had that up last time. Rasa SDK events. I believe it's an event. Pop this open. All right. So there's some general purpose events. So these are already, you don't have to do a custom action for these. These are already all done. I think just like stopping a conversation is something that's a little bit more uncommon as a thing that people want to do. So there is this pause option that just stops the bot responding to messages, but the user could continue to produce messages, and I think that that's maybe not the best approach here. And I might have an utterance that the bot says that's like, I'm just ending this conversation because that's unacceptable language. And I believe CarbonBot has a response to toxic language that's just like, nope, sorry, that's unacceptable, don't do that. I don't remember the exact wording. But yeah, there's been a lot of sort of discussion in natural language processing and conversational AI, ethics sort of discussions about what do you do about toxic language, because you don't, or and also sexual harassment of assistants, because a lot of them are female coded. And the sort of consensus is you don't want to ignore it, you don't want to seem to condone it, and you don't want to like play it off and be coy. You want to make sure that you're, enforcing social norms. Alan says, this is what Carbonbot responds to abusive language. I don't have to put up with any abuse from you, which I think is a reasonable response. All right, so and these are things that are sent back and forth to the assistant. Undo. I think we're gonna have, I don't think it'll be here. I think it'll be in the SDK. Let's see. All right, actions. We have our action server up and down. Running the action. This is what we do right now to run our actions. So in our actions folder, we can actually pop over and just take a look. We've got a bunch of, functions that we have that do various things that we need our assistant to do, and then we're in here. Yeah. So when you start this detect dialect action, this run action is done. The function is run. I don't know, y'all. I'm very tired. We're not sleeping the best right now. Okay. And we were looking for stopping the assistant. There is an action for starting the session that we might also play with, because we were talking about getting the assistant to start the conversation, although I believe that way that you do that is that you silently send an intent to the assistant to pop it off, and this is more like if I want to start with some slots already set. Run, see events. Are they all in here? Pause, resume, force a follow-up action, cancel reminder, schedule reminder, reset all slots, restart a conversation, set a slot. We were definitely reading about stopping the conversation previously, and let's see, so here's things that the tracker can do. So tracker is where information about the state of the conversation is stored. Pause, current state, tracker, events, actions. Hassan says, good morning there. Okay, still hot. Hello, near this says, it's strange there's a library called Fuzzy Wuzzy. It was the term used by British colonial soldiers for 19th century Beja warriors supporting the Sudanese Mahdi in the Mahdist War. Interesting. I was not familiar with that use. It's a fuzzy matching library. I think I'm mostly familiar with it from a rhyme about a bear called Fuzzy Wuzzy, and suddenly I'm just gonna real quickly Google this. So origins of Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. It describes the respect of the ordinary British soldier for the bravery of the Hadendua warriors who fought the British Army in Sudan and Eritrea. Well, noted. I don't know what to do with this information. I don't know if this is pejorative or not. I think someone from that group would have to tell me more information, I think. Sorry, let's pull this up. We're looking at it. So it's about Kipling. Oh, Murray Kipling is an English children's author and poet who is probably best known for writing The Jungle Book, and doing colonialism. Okay. T.S. Eliot included it. Tintin. Oh. Ooh, this is just a litany of problematic literature. Well, I did not know the origin of that term. I guess we could alias the library to something else. Although I think I just import something from the library rather than using the name. Yeah. Noted. I don't know, it might be worthwhile to reach out. But like, I don't have enough historical knowledge to know if this is a term that we shouldn't use. Thank you for bringing it up. Hello Near This says, I would not call it PC as it was a derogatory term coined by the British because of the tribe's hair. TV show Dad's Arm mentioned it a lot. I'm not familiar with that show. I know, right? I was like, oh, yeah, interesting. Well, I guess I'm not gonna say it anymore. I don't know. Feels suspicious. And there this says, now I feel old though. I mean, I didn't really grow up with TV, so it is not necessarily a generational thing. What were we doing? We're going to stop a conversation. Wow. Conversation, pause the conversation. Sorry, let's make this a little bit bigger. Maybe we were looking at the pause the conversation event. For some reason, I was pretty sure it was for some reason, I was pretty sure that the event was called Stop, but I could be wrong about that. All right, let's read through all of these real quick and just make sure that we are barking up the right tree, you know what I mean? Event to select the slot in the tracker. So the tracker stores the state of the conversation. And this is how you would save a variable over the course of a conversation. Like if you wanted to refer to somebody by their name and you were like, hey, what's their name? Hello Near This says, sorry for the distraction for history lesson. Oh, no, not at all. I would rather know than not know. And I probably won't say the little poem anymore. There's plenty of other fun little poems in English. Wow, I hope the woodchuck poem isn't racist. That would be good. I gotta look this up now. I'm so sorry. Woodchuck poem origin. These are all about a poem about woodchucks by Maxine Kumin, and that's not the right poem that I want. Well, table that. I'll remind myself later. Let's set slots. So this will store a value that you can refer to over the course of a conversation that's associated with a particular conversation, not necessarily a particular user, unless you have a way of tracking users over multiple conversations. That's not going to be what we need. Restarting a conversation resets anything logged in the tracker, and we use this all the time using the /restart command. Conversation is started over and the history wiped. Instead of deleting all events, this event can be used to reset the tracker's state, e.g. ignoring any past user messages and resetting all the slots. What I don't believe it will do is actually delete the data, right? So if you hit restart, you can just start the conversation over from the beginning, which is not what I'm looking for here. Reset all the slots in the conversations. Again, not what I'm looking for. It's not the content of the slots that's the issue here. But if you could use this if you were having a conversation where you're trying to like help somebody. Sorry, this is itchy. If you're helping somebody like book a restaurant and you're like figuring out like the number of tables or whatnot, and then halfway through they're like, oh, never mind, actually I want, you know, Chinese food instead, and you're like, oh, I gotta cancel this Italian restaurant reservation and reset all those slots and then restart and refill them from the beginning. That's where you could use that. Rabin says, let us know what you are looking at. So I'm in the Rasa docs, rasa.com/docs/rasa/API/events, and we are looking right now at all of the different events that you can trigger as part of your conversation. And the specific thing that we're looking for is a way to stop the conversation. Resets all the slots for conversation, so we're not looking for this. Schedule a reminder, schedule an intent to be triggered in the future. So this could be useful for like a journaling assistant where someone just has like the session open and like, you know, or a Pomodoro. Pomodoro is this like work style where you work for, I want to say it's like you work for 20 minutes and you take 5 minutes off, and you work for 20 minutes and you take 5 minutes off, or there's some like, you know, periodic work rest cycle. I don't remember what it is, but it's named for like the little tomato timer that the person who came up with the method was using at their desk. So you could use this for like a Pomodoro timer, but that's not what we're looking for here. Robin says, from Rasa events, you can import ConversationPause. Yeah. But the other thing is I want people to stop being able to input text, because one thing that we saw last week when we were going through and identifying these toxic conversations, I see you. There's a delay between the stream and me, so saying it multiple times is not going to help. Is that people would say multiple toxic things at once, and I want a way for them not to do that. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but we'll find out. And then canceling a reminder, which just cancels it. So this is the pausing one, which we talked about earlier, and I could have sworn that on Wednesday we were looking at events and we found an event that just stopped the conversation entirely. And if we can't find that, I guess we'll come back to pause. But then people can still keep, you know, keep talking to the assistant, and I want not that. And then resuming, Revert takes over the conversation, and so this is really for more of a human handoff, where the assistant's talking to somebody, and then you pause, and then you pass the conversation to a human. Force a follow-up action. Instead of predicting the next action, force the next action to be a fixed one. So this might be what we do if there's an action to stop the assistant. So put a pin in this. Actually, I'm gonna open that in a new tab. There we go. Put a pin in this. We might want to come back to this later. That might be what we end up doing. And then events. So these are things that are stored in the tracker and that you can get back. Ugh, sorry. Ugh, nose is itchy. There's a lot of like soot and particulate matter, and we have thankfully we're very lucky to have a big air purifier, but it can only do so much. Okay, sending a message, responding to a message. undoing a user message. Okay, so this undoes all the side effects that happened after the last user message, including the user event of the message. Bot reverts everything until before the most recent message. The bot will revert all events after the last user uttered. This also means that the last event on the tracker is usually action listen, and the bot is waiting for a new user message. When added to the tracker, this is the code to update the tracker. Okay, we definitely looked at this last Wednesday as well. So I also had a long weekend, so I'm taking some time to get back into work brain. Including the user event of message. But it doesn't remove the message. I think the message is still stored. So I don't think this is going to be the right choice for us. But it could be helpful if someone's like, oh, no, scratch that. And then you can scratch that. Undo an action and does all the side effects that happened after the last event action, including the action event of the action. Bot undoes the last action. The bot reverts everything before the most recent action. This includes the action itself as well as any events that the action created, like set slot events. The bot will now predict a new action using the state before the most recent action. When added to the tracker, this is the code used to update the tracker. Okay. Log an executed action. Log the action that a bot executed to the conversation. Events that action created are logged separately. Logs an action the bot executed to the conversation. So the bot does something, it's stored in the conversation. If there's an event that was created because of an action, that's put in the log separately. Okay, I think that makes sense. Start a new conversation session. This is the restart, resets the tracker and triggers on action session start. Mark the beginning of the conversation session. Okay, so I think it must have been paused that we were looking before, and I just assumed that it was called start. I just assumed that it was called stop. So let's keep working on that. A little bit more coffee. Okay, I realize we just spent like half an hour on that, but time spent reading the docs is never time wasted, in my opinion. Okay, so what's a good first step? I think a good first step is to find sample code for something that does basically human handoff. So what is this going to look like from, let's take a step back. What is this going to look like? What do we want this to look like? So someone's using our assistant. They say something unacceptable. Our assistant responds, that's unacceptable. This conversation is over. And then if we pause it, the person can continue to enter text, but the assistant won't respond. I think that's fine, right? That's like, you know, it's like shunning. They're being ignored. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. Okay, so let's find sample code. Rasa handoff. I'm pretty sure that one of the examples that we have on GitHub does human handoff. So the help desk assistant. I'm pretty sure the help desk assistant does human handoff. Let me move me. Oop, I'm on this side. Okay. The action. Yeah. Okay, so there is a. How do they do this? Let's start with the actions and then the handoff and see see what they do here. And this is by Melinda and Greg, who are two of our really excellent CSEs. So if you have purchased Rasa Enterprise from us, you might get the chance to work with them. Not from them, that's not the right thing. Peter says, and what happens when conversation resumes? Will all message that user wrote during the pause be lost, or are they stored somewhere? I believe they'll be stored in the tracker store. So if I were doing like a pause and then resume, the conversations would be there. And then I don't know what would happen then. I guess it would depend on what they'd said in the interim. Because presumably you have like your human agent who's talking back and forth, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to send you back to the bot now. And then the conversation picks back up again. So you would enter text, and the NLU would run, and then figuring out what the next thing to say, etc. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. But we're not going to unpause. But you could. Okay, so we've got, let me zoom in a little bit. So first of all, they have logging, which we don't have. For debugging. The Snow API, Snow local mode logger debug. I'm guessing this is for more in-depth debugging. I don't actually know what Snow API is. Snow API. From actions.snow. Well, this is all about adding snow in Photoshop, are the results that I got. So, well, I'm guessing it doesn't matter for us. Custom request next slot. Okay, so you're getting information from dispatcher. Alan says service now. Oh, that makes sense. So that's what snow stands for, is service now. That makes a lot more sense than the Photoshop stuff. Although I think the Photoshop team does use Rasa. I remember there was something at the Rasa Day event in San Francisco back when people could go to places and be together. Okay, so requesting the next slot. An utter template if needed, else return none. So they're getting the emails. Okay, so if they're requesting an email and get slot previous email. Wouldn't that return the email? So I guess if it does return it, it will be true. Oh, I see. Okay, so if the person's using email and the tracker is like, oh, there's an email already, then the person gets asked, hey, do you want to use this email that you already have on file? Okay, that makes sense. Otherwise, you ask them about it. Email validation, that's not going to be it. Open incidents form. So this is for like an IT help desk. So the assistant is helping people out who have some sort of technical problem. Yeah, request the next slot. So this is just like collecting a bunch of information in order. We don't need any of those. We don't need the validation. We actually already have this in our system or something very similar. We're looking specifically for the handoff. Incident status form. Pressing the next slot. A list of required slots this form has to fill. So this would be for collecting more information about a specific incident. Alan says it's support software, so the snow that we were talking about. Yulong says, does Rachel focus on dialogues? And Crazy Joe says, hello. Okay, so that's not, it looks like the handoff actually isn't handled in here. So let's check in this handoff.py. Okay. Action handoff. Okay, so this is a action. So you have the dispatcher, the tracker, and the domain. If not any, config get URL for bot config and handoff config item. Okay, so big, has that been imported? No. That, okay. Config.get URL for bot config in handoff config. Oh, I see. Okay, it's in handoff config. Gotcha, gotcha. Which we are, which is a YAML file that is being opened in the script above this. Peter says, the good old days when people were allowed to sneeze. I mean, you can still sneeze, just not near anybody. Nope. Okay. I thought I might have a little bit more room on my side. I don't. Okay. So okay, so there are, if the handoff is trigger handoff to bot config and handoff config. I can't transfer you to a human, but I can transfer you to one of these bots. Okay, so I see what it's doing here. So there is a file here that has a bunch of URLs for different assistants that you can pass your user off to. If you had a human, you would be this would not point to a bot. This would point to, you know, the channel where your human assistants are available. And if there's no URLs, then you get a little message that's like, hey, there's no way that I can hand you off. And if there are, then you get a button for each of the assistants that's defined in the YAML file, and then the assistant tells you, hey, I can't transfer you to a human, but I can transfer you to one of these bots, and then you click the link and then you're transferred. Or you click the button and you're transferred. Which is not exactly what we're looking for here, because we just want to pause the conversation. So this is a little bit more in depth. Handoff. Rest, utter message. Okay, and this is handling the handoff in a little bit more. So this is just sort of like letting the person check which assistant they want to be handed off to, and this bit is doing the actual handoffing. And I'm actually looking for the pausing. Credentials, requirement, actions, text. Maybe I missed it in here, or maybe it's in this. So the specific thing that we were looking for was responded, undo, log. Pause, right? Tracker is pause. There we go. ConversationPause is the specific thing that I am looking for here. Okay, so it looks like it's not used. So there's no point at which they're actually pausing the conversation. Duh, of course there's not, because they're handing it off to another automated assistant. Why would they pause the conversation? The assistant has to keep using it. Okay, so there's not going to be a good example of what we're looking for here. Yikes. Okay. Well, I think it was still helpful to look at other people's code. Do I have any more coffee left? Yep. Alrighty. I move me back to this side. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. I do know I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, so we have our elicitation form, blah, blah, blah. Let's just open this. Rasa core events conversation paused. So what I'm gonna do, because we only want to pause the conversation, right? That's the only event that we are looking for. Rasa SDK. Oh, wait a second. What version of the docs is this? Not what I wanted. I wanted to go to the top. I don't think it's. Oof. The SDK. So the reason that I was going wait a second here is because this is from Rasa core events, but when we are calling events in our code, we are doing it from Rasa SDK.events. Well, let's try it. I think I still have it in my, nope. I was gonna say, I think I still have it in my paste queue, but I sure don't. PAU. There we go. So conversation pause. I think this will still work. Find out. So we're using the slot set event, and we also have a conversation paused thing. And I'm pretty sure that those are in the same place. Yeah. Oh no. Wait. Yes, okay, yes, these are in the same place. Sorry, for a second there I was confused because here we're just referring to this slot set event, and I just had a moment of confusion. Okay, so we now have the conversation paused event, and we are going to I'm gonna pop it, I think, down at the end. So it's a new action, right? So it's a new class, and I'm gonna call this something helpful. So what are you doing? We're stopping the conversation because of toxic language. So I'm just gonna call it toxic lang response. No, because we might end up using this somewhere else. Yeah. Is this the most efficient way to do this? Yeah, because now we can pause the conversation sort of whenever we need to. And if I end up doing more stuff that's specific to this task of the conversation, then I can just go back and change the name of this and deal with it then. Okay. Here. We need to make sure that we include a way for us to return to it, refer to it. So if I was doing full human handoff, I could do multiple things in here, like pause the conversation, trigger the handoff and whatnot. And we're just doing one thing here for now, and we might end up doing additional things in the future. Although it is more like detect dialect than static method we don't care about, and then what happens when we run it. Something is very off with my white space. There we go. Okay, and then all we need to do is go back to here. What is the exact thing that it says? Oh, that's it. When added to a tracker, this is the code used to update the tracker. As a side effect, the tracker's paused attribute will be set to true. Ignore the messages from a user to let the human take over. Okay. Okay, so I think this is actually what we need. So I'm thinking, what is the difference between run and apply to? So the other actions that we're taking don't know that I need the dispatcher. I don't know that I need the domain. We're definitely going to affect the tracker. Sorry, I'm thinking. So I think this is what's happening to the tracker. I think to actually run this action, when we call it from our assistant, it needs to be part of the run. And then the specific thing that it is ConversationPause. So if we look at the way that we handle slot setting, which is our most, just pop that down there, which is our most parallel one. Okay, yeah, so we return the slot being set. And I think we're just going to return ConversationPost. And I don't think we actually need that. I don't think we actually need any of this information. That's us doing the tracker, so we don't need to do that here. And also, we're not in the tracker currently. And it'll run that function. I think this is right. I feel pretty sure this is right. So I'm doing double quotes. Pause the conversation so the assistant won't respond. Yeah. All right, let's just try this for here. And I'm going to try starting the action server and see if I get any errors. Have some coffee. The expected indented block. Okay, so there are definitely errors, and the errors are with my white space. Oh, 359. thought 3 quotes meant, well, it expects it to be indented. All right, let's give that another shot. I'm pretty sure that 3 quotes means you can have a multi-line string. Pretty sure. Could be wrong. I don't know why sometimes VS Code adds just an enormous number of blank lines in the terminal, and I will admit that I do not like it. Sorry, what was that again? Indentation error expected in indented block after won't respond. Ah, okay, gotcha. This needs to be indented. That makes sense. Expected an indented block. Did I not? Directly underneath it, I did not indent it. Listen, sometimes we make mistakes that are easy to fix, and we enjoy having things that are easy in front of us. All right, so the pause conversation function has been registered. And I'm going to create a story. Actually, I think I can just, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my disk is squeaking. Like inside my tower, the disk is going squeak. It might be time to clean. It might be time to clean my computer. I think we can, from the shell, just call the action. I'm pretty sure. So pause conversation is what we called it. Was my slash backwards? Maybe. Oh, okay, it's an intent. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to need to create a story that will trigger this. Let's Brock says, I watch live coding on Twitch. My life is a total mess, I guess. Well, not necessarily. I like watching live streams. Let's create a, yeah, so we don't actually have any of the toxic intents, but I'm gonna create like a little placeholder one. It's Fitly says hashtag nerd gang. Yeah. Nothing wrong with being a nerd. So actually, I think I can create an intent with no examples of it. Pretty sure I can do that. So let's do that. Oh, what we don't have is this as an action. So it's an action and it's called pause conversation. All right. And then I'm going to add an intent, toxic language. Save those real quick. And then I'm going to add a story. I'm going to call it hashtag toxic language star toxic underscore language. And then, so the user will use toxic language, and we will just use the action pause conversation. Okay, so I think I don't actually have to use toxic language. I think I can just use /toxic language to trigger that intent. And then in the future, when toxic language arises, I can add it to that intent and deal with it then. Okay, so we need to, let's kill that. We need to start a new terminal. We need to train our assistant real quick. We added a new story. Nothing changed. There's no matching. Let's see. Utterance, utter live code warning is listed as an action in the domain file, but there's no matching utterance template. Please check your domain. Oh, that's right. So when I started putting the assistant live, I added information that where the heck did I put it? Where did it say it was? It's definitely not in the domain. Listed as an action in the domain file, but there is no matching utterance template. Please check your domain. Is there a live code warning? I don't think there is. Saved that. So when I put my assistant live, because people are because I'm working on it live coding, I had a little warning. It was like, hey, your answers might be seen. Template, please check your domain. Pretty sure it's not. These are saved, yeah? Save? Yeah, okay, so it's been modified since I pushed to GitHub. Saved, yeah, okay, they're definitely saved. Okay, well, let's see if the Rasa shell works. And if things have been uploaded, I should be able to do /toxic language as an intent, and then this should pause the conversation. Oh, was I looking at my config the whole time? No, I was in my domain. Toxic _ language. Was my slash the wrong direction? That's very possible. Oh! Nope, I think it worked. So I could say anything here. Okay, that did not work. Okay, so the first time I did it with the slash that goes that way, this time I'm going to do the slash that goes this way. I know that one of them is a backslash and one of them is a /, and I don't remember which is which ever. Context, Karen. I'm sorry, I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Okay, user warning. Parsed an intent, toxic language, which is not defined in the domain. Please make sure all the intents are listed in the domain. Hold up. Wait a second. Wait a second. No. Yeah, no, we're in the right directory. Something is weird. something is weird about the state, right? So it's giving me warnings about my domain file that are not relevant to my domain file, yeah? Because I have already addressed these warnings, and I've definitely saved it. Maybe I need to close this? I don't know. All right, let's try now. Is it because I had it open? That definitely wasn't an issue in the past. Okay, and we're getting the same warning about the utter live code thing, which is 100% not in my domain file. Utter live code warning is listed as an action in the domain file, but there is no matching utterance template. I don't think it's listed as an action in the domain file. Yeah, it's not. It definitely isn't. It's not in here. Ooh. Mmm. It's not that either. What's up? Why are you doing this? Why is this a thing you're doing? Is it maybe referenced in stories and that's a typo in the error message? I've never gotten a typo there before though. I think it's not actually. It's like the data, maybe it's in stories? Did we not just update stories? With the toxic language stuff? We just updated stories with the toxic language stuff, yeah? Oh, am I in a weird version control state? That would be not ideal. I can watch the video back. I could have sworn we updated stories, saved it. Let me peep this. Oh. Okay. Extremely mysterious. Right. So it looks like okay, you've been updated. You've been updated, right? Yeah, okay. Probably call this action detect dialect. Solicitation form. Cannot access action pause conversation as the name is not a registered action for this domain. Here are the available actions. Okay. Okay. Cannot access action. All right, value error. Not in list. Okay. Main. Actions. Oh, it sure isn't. All right, what about toxic conversation? Did we add a toxic conversation intent? No, that's also gone. UAG. Things are in a very weird state. I'm extremely confused. But at least we're not getting the error we were getting? Okay. I don't think this is a Rasa thing. I think this is a VS Code thing, and I don't know what it's doing. Other live code warning is listed as an action in the domain file. It ain't. It is. Okay. So somehow the assistant reverted to an earlier version, even though looking at it visually with my human eyes, it looked like the latest version. Don't like that. All right, let's give this another shot. See if we can break our assistant. Okay, no errors. Fantastic. Love to see not errors. All right, and then let's start by running the action server. We're gonna need that. Okay, now if we do Rasa shell, okay, so I should be able to do toxic language. Toxic language. All right, excellent. It works. Okay. So what's happening here is the slash here means, hey, I'm sending you an intent. Just treat it as an intent without me having to say the things. Also, right now, there's no training data in this intent, so we're going to have to go back and redefine that. And I'm going to see if I can get the data I annotated out of my Rasa X instance and figure out where the disconnect is. At some point, GitHub got disconnected, and it might have to do with my Microsoft, my Windows GitHub plugin that I use, because it's a little non-standard. Yeah, okay. Karen says, yay, great work. Thank you. I am pleased. So yeah. I'm going to call it a day. I think we did the thing that we said we were going to do. It was pretty straightforward, thankfully. Despite the very weird thing that my IDE is doing that I'm not a huge fan of. Don't entirely know. Yeah, new, modified. Hey, do I have to commit locally to... No state changes to commit. Commit them directly. Yeah, go nuts. Works. I would like it to stay this way. Because I think this is not connected to my GitHub version control. This is like a separate internal VS Code version control. Anyway, I'll deal with that off stream. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this was helpful and not too frustrating. And yeah, stay safe, stay healthy. If you're, you know, in a place where the air quality is really bad and you can stay inside, try to do that. And I will be back tomorrow for paper reading. And I said I would tell people what the paper was on Monday, and I was out Monday, so we'll definitely do it today. Sorry about that, y'all. And then on Friday, we'll continue working on this project, and I'll see what I can do with getting the toxic intents out, and we'll, I think, continue to work on that and make sure that we have a good response. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see y'all tomorrow.